Now, there have been many cases where I just looked at the trailer of a game or the marketing campaign, and I would say something like, yeah, this game is woke. And because of that, I would expect the game to come out with bugs, to come out with extremely bad business practices, and basically to flop. The last game that I did this for was Civilization 7. I said that it's woke, and I'm not buying it. And because of that, a lot of people got really angry. And it's like, well, V, Civilization is not a story-driven game. Who cares that it's woke? Like, why does that matter? No one plays the game for that. It's not going to flop. And the thing is, like, people genuinely don't understand where I'm coming from. I just noticed pattern recognition, and I noticed, okay, well, this game is woke, it's filled with bugs. This other game is woke, is filled with bugs. And therefore, I concluded that if another game, I would see it in the trailer that it's woke, like, chances are it's filled with bugs. And so, like, up until now, it was just a pattern recognition thing. But now I can actually articulate why that is. I can explain to people the reasoning behind on why when a product is woke, it's going to also be a defective product. It's not just the story, but it's also the quality of the product that's going to be overwhelmingly affected. And so I want you guys to think of a corporation. What is a company? It's a for-profit entity designed with one purpose, to provide a service for the customer. Now, if you're in charge of the company, you need to hire people in order to promote that product, in order to manufacture and create the product that you're selling. And so you're going to want to hire people that create value. You want to have your employees be able to come up with you and within 5 minutes to explain to you why they are worthy of receiving payment for you, because in exchange, they will create value in return. And so if employees cannot justify that, if they cannot explain why they are creating value, then they don't deserve to work there. And so, like, creating value can come in different shapes and sizes for a company. Creating value can mean that the sales lady has a really good marketing pitch and is going to be able to sell your product a lot more than if you didn't have the sales lady. The developer is able to create value by writing lines of code that aren't filled with bugs. That's not a mess. The person in charge of legal is going to create value by making sure that your company doesn't get sued and that you respect the laws of the land. And so, like, again, everyone that you hire at the company, regardless of the department they're in, regardless of the job they're doing, they have to create value in a certain way. And this is pretty much how the American economy went during the period that we had the entertainment industry booming at a level that it was renowned around the world. However, that changes when feminism comes into play. So like in 2014, feminism is pushed extremely hard by the mainstream media. It's being pushed by the academia. It's being pushed by young people on social media. And there's a new way of thinking. Instead of hiring people that create value, you have people that generate favor. And here's a prime example, right? Like, this is a very famous person that almost everyone knows, goes by the name of Zoe Quinn. So, like, Zoe Quinn creates drama everywhere she goes. Like, everywhere she goes, like, she was creating drama. And then, all of a sudden, you see her in a position of authority. Like, she was hired by DC Comics, I believe. And she got to write her own comic. And despite the fact that the comic failed spectacularly, like, no one wanted to buy it, she is yet again put in another position of privilege, writing a flagship comic this time. So, like, she fails upwards. And the thing is, like, we don't need to focus on Zoe Quinn because there's a lot of Zoe Quinns out there, like people that work in the entertainment industry that constantly seem to fail upwards. They constantly seem to not be hired based on the fact that they're producing value, because they're not, but instead they are able to be hired for different reasons. And I want you to imagine a chef that constantly burns his meals, right? And the customers at the restaurant get upset because their food is burned and it's charcoal and it's bitter. And then that chef gets promoted. And where he goes, like, the same thing happens. In fact, he even starts arguing with the customers. He creates drama in the kitchen. There's people willing to quit their jobs because of that. But yet again, like, he fails upwards. He gets promoted to an even higher position for his behavior. And the reason for this is that these people, like the Zoe Quinns of the world, they are hired not because they create value. They are hired because they generate favor. And so a person that generates favor is a person that knows how to network. Like, they know a guy that knows a guy. They are usually in a position of power because they have a network of friends that keep them in the position of power. They can be individuals that are extremely charismatic when they want to be. They really know how to rub and grease the correct palms. They can be, in some cases, women that know how to make themselves liked by men and other influential people. And so these individuals, they do not generate value for the company, but they do generate favor. In other words, maybe they know the HR lady, or maybe they are the HR lady. This is why feminism as an ideology really cracked down on the concept of sex for favors, a thing that happens everywhere around the world and has happened throughout human history, is because they want to move away the Overton window so that no one even discusses this. That this concept can even happen or that it can even be a possibility. And so, again, you need to think of the e-girl that has an army of simps. Like, that person is generating favor. If you attack that person, then the army of simps goes after you. While if you're being nice to that person, then the army of simps may actually defend your company from other nefarious actors. They can astroturf your product. They can try to support you. And so most companies, they do hire people that generate value, as well as a couple of people that can generate favor. The people that generate favor may not necessarily improve the product, but through their networking, through their abilities to know a person that knows a person, they may actually raise the prestige of the company. However, you need to make sure that you always hire more people that generate value than people that generate favor. A perfect example of this would be a football match. The cheerleader is the person that generates favor. The cheerleader itself is pleasing for the crowd, can also motivate the players to play better. However, the cheerleader is unable to play the actual game. If all the people that generate value, aka the football players, are leaving the stadium, the cheerleaders themselves may try to play the game, but it's not going to generate the same audience. It's not going to get as many people interested who are there in order to see a professional football match. Meanwhile, the actual player, the one that plays the football game, he generates value. Like, he is hired not because of his charisma, not because of his ideology or what he thinks. He is hired simply because he can kick the ball, he can play as a team, and no one cares what he does outside the field. Unfortunately, however, the ideology has changed that everyone needs to also generate favor. In other words, every single football player needs to have the correct mindset. He needs to think the correct things. He needs to kneel for the BLM flag. He needs to have the correct opinions on Twitter. He needs to say the correct things in his private time. And this actually led to a real-life event where a football player that actually did break world records, he went to a university, a Catholic university, and talked about abortion. Now, this really upset the cheerleader, who said that his thinking is unacceptable and that he should be laid off the team. Now, obviously, that didn't happen because he was carrying the match, but, like, that's what the ideology is basically saying. Like, if he wasn't generating as much value as he did, then the person that was generating favor would have been able to kick this guy off the team because he had the wrong opinions. And when you realize that this mindset is applied at every corporation in the United States, where the people who are generating value are genuinely oppressed by the people who are generating favor, well, you understand why the video games that are coming out are shit now. So, for instance, going back to Zoe Quinn, like, she is a person that generates favor, but, like, she is held in better regards, and she is treated more nicely by the gaming and the entertainment industry than a person like Amy Hennig, which very few people know of, but, like, she is responsible of creating some of the most amazing games from my childhood. She is actually a person that generated value. However, once she went into an interview and said that, well, gamers aren't misogynistic and she never experienced sexism from her fellow developers in the industry, that's when she stopped generating favor, and so she had to be replaced. And when you understand this, you realize why all the games that are coming out that are woke are also filled with bugs, and they have glitches, and in some cases they're even unplayable on launch. It's because if you constantly hire people that generate favor, well, they don't know how to fucking code. It's kind of like putting the cheerleaders to play the football match. Sure, they can kick the ball around and maybe they can actually get a game going, but it's not going to be an impressive game. It's going to end up in a disaster. And so it's the same thing if you look at an entertainment company and all of the coders that you're having or all the talent that's actually required to keep the ball moving are being mediocre people because they need to also generate favor besides, their ability to code. Well, now you understand. And this is also baffling right now, the left, with Elon Musk hiring young people in order to audit the government. Like, everyone is baffled. Why is it that they're 18 or 19-year-old or whatever the fuck? It's because, like, Elon Musk is hiring them specifically for the job that they are doing. It's like they are capable of auditing the government. That's it. They're not capable of generating favor. Like, they're not old enough to have a network of connections and be able to know how to be charismatic and liked, and that doesn't matter. What matters is, like, can they do the job that they're hired to do? And it's this new mindset that's actually revolutionary, and it's upsetting a lot of the previous establishment. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.